426 AD, 4320 AM. The Germanic people called the Angles began invading Britain. This is how the country obtained the later name of England. This year, as 4320 Annus Mundi, is 1080 times 4, the sum of 1080 being the calendrical seal of Israel. The Great Pyramid, finished in 1080 AM, 2815 BC, was 3240 years, 1080 times 3, before the Angle invasion. This was also 1836 years, 108 times 17, after the Israelites invaded Lower Syria and settled it in 1411 BC. This was a further 144 times 13 years, 1872, after the Exodus in 1447 BC. The Angles were descended from the tribes of Israel in migration. This was exactly 50 years before the fall of Rome in 476 BC. 1. A short history of the world. 429 AD, 4323 AM. The Vandals overran Roman-occupied northern Africa. This was exactly 630 years, half of 1260, or 70 times 9 years, after 202 BC, when the Romans invaded northern Africa. 430 AD, 4324 AM. The uncle of Attila the Hun, named Oktar, tried to take the Huns further west by attacking the Burgundians in modern southwestern Germany. Fearing the Huns, the Burgundians, those not yet Romanized, sought the aid of God. Knowing of the God of the Christians, one they knew was regarded by the Romans, and they reasoned must be powerful. The Burgundians had French Visigothic Christians baptized them. The nation converted to this new God and then marched against the Huns, 3,000 Burgundians against a greater host, and they slaughtered about 10,000 Huns. Because of this victory, the Burgundians became a Christian people. The writer Sidonius Apollinaris described the Burgundians as on average 7 foot tall. Sidonius was a Gallic aristocrat and bishop. 1. The end of empire. 2. History in quotations. 431 AD, 4325 AM. The Christian Council of Ephesus is convened. Riots broke out during the heated discussions that resulted in violent deaths. 1. The Christ Conspiracy. 433 AD, 4327 AM. The Council of Ephesus reconvened, and it was proclaimed that Mary was the Mother of God. Perhaps this was the reason why there had been violent outbursts and murders at the council in 431. 1. The Gospel Truth. 434 AD, 4328 AM. The Huns invaded Thrace again, devastating everything, and moved toward Constantinople, but for unknown reasons the Huns withdrew. A Hun commander named Rua had died, and it was rumoured by Christians in Constantinople that their deliverance was divine, that lightning, fireballs and plague had afflicted the Huns. This was precisely 700 years after the Heruli of southern Russia invaded south, like the Huns, all the way to the Peloponnesus in 267 BC. 1. The end of empire. 437 AD, 4331 AM. A Roman Hun allied force defeats the Burgundians, but the Huns go further than conquering and attempt to exterminate them. At this time there was extreme Hunnic animosity against the Burgundians. 1. The end of empire. 439 AD, 4333 AM. Gaiseric leads the Vandals in a fleet from Spain and attacks Carthage, the last Roman stronghold in northern Africa, taking it. They destroyed the Roman occupation forces, the library, and then began the construction of a mighty navy. One contemporary historian wrote that it had been 585 years since the Romans took Carthage. This parallels the 585 BC year that Jerusalem fell to Babylon. This was exactly 600 years after Rome sacked Carthage in the Second Punic War in 162 BC, and 540 years, half of 1080, after the Romans defeated the Teutones in Gaul in 102 BC. 1. The end of empire. 441 AD, 4335 AM. A chronicle of Gaul written at this date relates that by this time the Isles of Britain had already been run over by the Saxons from the continent. While many invasion fleets no doubt touched down in Britain by this time, the main hosts of the Saxons had not yet begun their mass migrations. This was 432 years, half of 864, after 9 AD, when the Saxon leader Hermann defeated the Roman legions at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, one ancient mysteries. 442 AD, 4336 AM. The Huns spent 9 months destroying the cities and people of the Middle Danube and Morava river valley. Cities and villages were burned, men slaughtered, children enslaved, and women taken as second wives and concubines, as well as all livestock. The terror of the Huns struck to the heart of the Roman Empire. At this time, Pope Leo I widely publicised the false doctrine that Christ gave supreme authority over the Church to Peter, and that there was a direct succession from Peter to the papacy, that the Bishop of Rome, now called Pope, was the greatest of all Christian bishops. These Hun invasions were 720 years after 279 BC, when the Gauls were invading the Greek world. This was also 666 years after 225 BC, when the Celts marched against Rome and were slaughtered. This was the 70th year since the Huns first invaded Roman territory in 372 AD, one the Jesus Papers.